We're slightly behind schedule, but welcome to Political Paradigm. Let's continue the politics conversation. A little about governance this time. My guest is the Honorable Minister of State for Education, Honorable Tanko Yusuf Sununu. I can call him that because he's also a former member of the House of Representatives. Welcome to Political Paradigm.
Thank you very much.
It's nice to see you again. Spoke with you as a lawmaker, now I'm speaking to you as a minister. So tell me about transitioning from the legislature to the executive.
Well, thank you very much. The transition is really a wonderful one. For an advocate of your people, their eyes, their mouthpiece, and what have you, and trying to also see how resources can be equitably distributed, and then how we can monitor that equitably distributed resources to ensure its judicial utilizations, and also coupled with the fact that we also have a means to exercise your check and balance activity, and also to make a law for the peaceful governance of the country, now to a system whereby you are also at the eyes of the storm.
Absolutely.
You are executing, you are being oversighted, and then you also have to make a proposal that is subjected to the approval by where you are living.
I'm sure that's supposed to make it easy for you because you, as a former lawmaker, should be able to understand these processes. But beyond that, let's get into sort of the business of the day. You have vast experience in health matters. You are an obstetrician, you are a surgeon, so here, and a gynecologist. You're also chairman. We're also chairman of the House Committee on Healthcare Services. I also recall that you were on the COVID-19 committee. You did a lot in healthcare, and considering concerns of putting round pegs in round holes and coming from an 8-year administration of a minister of education who had no idea what education was, and he said that himself. You, as a doctor, with this knowledge in healthcare and occupying the position of Minister of State for Education, do you consider yourself experienced enough to occupy the position?
Well, I think I can consider myself experienced, but if you use the word enough, that adjective becomes somehow. I said I'm experienced because, first of foremost, I've gone through primary school up to university level, and I passed through the system. That's one. Two, also as a practitioner, I'm not only a medical practitioner, I'm also a teacher and a trainer. I have served voluntarily for 4 years as a teacher in Kebbi State School of Nursing and Midwifery. And not only that, I was also a visiting lecturer with Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology of Usman and Fodio University, Sokoto, for a period of almost 4 to 5 years as a visiting lecturer, and I have interacted with undergraduates and also postgraduate. Once you are also a consultant, you are also a teacher. And then to make it also known to you that I've also been a member of House Committee on Basic Education in the 9th Assembly, of which also we have also oversighted so much in education. And then also, not only that I have done that as a member, I've also have a rudimentary knowledge of what teaching means. Before going for my university education, I was opportune to be a student of College of Education, Sokoto, which is currently the Shehu Shagari College of Education. But because of my desire, the desire of my late father, may Allah grant him peace, he is of the view that I should go straight for my university education. So during my second year, I have to voluntarily opt out in respect to his desire for me to go. And after my first audition, I was qualified to be admitted in the College of Health Sciences of Usman and Fodio University, Sokoto. And then I also grew up in a family that my father has been a classroom teacher, an education administrator, and so many things. So to me, education is not really this thing. And most importantly, the parameters that are being judged in health are also the same parameters that are in education. almost similar problem with some little variation.
Tell us about them.
Yes, if you look at health, you talk about the pillars of health, which are also the pillars of education. Human resource for health, for example. If you come to the education, human resource for education, we have paucity of teachers. We also have what is affecting that same parameter in education, also affecting education in terms of brain drain. And specialists, actually teachers at the level of university lecturers, and also even at secondary school level, people are migrating. And then that migrating, which will cause brain drain, is not only restricted to external, there is also internal. Because even in education, you find that there is a drift of lecturers and teachers from the north to the south because of insecurity. So also that is also happening in education. But if you also look at the issue of funding, which is also a greater pillar in health, it's also a greater pillar of education. But you find that the funding has been an issue, except for now that we have a renewed commitment under the renewed hope agenda that Mr. President has made commitment to Nigerians. Nigerians are campaigning, and he continued to reiterate it, that the budgetary allocation in terms of education is going to skyrocket. Where we have been having, apart from also the 2% of consolidated revenue that is going to UBEC and the State Fund, we have been having an allocation of about 8%. And Mr. President has made commitment to see how that can be gradually increased with a rapid addition so that in the next few years we expect to have almost 25% of consolidated revenue from going to education. Okay. That quarterly, 1/4 of the whole budget going into education, I assure you, it will address some of the issues that are distinct. We also
which aspect of education will it go for?
Generally, when we are talking of education, is now when it's come to the budgetary distance. You see, you cannot say today we are going to take only university education and forget about this. But as we are now, there are certain aspects of education that we think that these are areas that we have to pay much attention and pay. What are those areas? We know that definitely, yes, we want certification. But we want certification that will prove itself by building the candidate to think critically, to also be able to fit in the system, especially where we have global survival of the fittest, and even at local level have this thing. So we must have an education that is backed by a necessary skill that will enable an individual not only to look for a white-collar job, but also to think so that in the next few years he can also be an employer of labor.
So the budgeting system would change to include skills and vocational studies.
Exactly.
But I think that already exists in some schools. We have schools for
it has existed, but if you look at where we are now, is it really where we are? Now, what do we have now? Right now, we have decayed infrastructure. And how do you address the issue of decayed infrastructure? You have to still go back to the commitment of Mr. President of increasing the budgetary allocation to health. And also not only doing that, also in going into collaborations. And what we want now to strengthen as ministry is how do we not only serve as national, but can we have a situation whereby we both be a national, but in collaboration with major stakeholders? That is the state. Because whatever you do at national level, if it's not reciprocated or it's not buy-in, or the state simply said refuse to key into it, definitely you are not going to achieve much. Because we have a constitution that places education in the concurrent list. And everybody from the local government to federal government have its own role to play. And therefore, the only way we can, as a policy maker and this in the federal ministry, we have to design a policy that will get the buy-in of all the stakeholders so that together we can come and multiply the funding. The federal government increases funding. We have 25% of increased funding. And then the state are also increasing and buying into the federal government initiative. And then private states are also paying their own counterpart fund, especially for the Universal Basic Commission, that will allow us to have more resources channeled to the state. As we are now, that's why I say we have to reorient the system to see how we can get their buying in. As at now, we have many states that have a lot of their fund unutilized, and they are running into billions because the counterpart funding has not been paid. So what do we do now is to see how we can now advocate, reach out, negotiate, and also try to see how we can all key in together so that together, both state, federal government, and local government will be able now to mop out the over 10 to 13 million out of school children there.
I don't
most
think
especially
it's
point more to girl child education.
I don't know where you get that stats from, but it's over 20 million out of school children now. And that's one of the things with regard to budgeting I wanted us to talk about.
Yes.
How you would use budgeting to address the over 20 million children out of school. And the comparison is that as at 2015, when the former minister took over, it was 13 million children out of school, 13.2 or thereabouts out of school. So fast forward 8 years later, 20 million, over 20 million. So what would you do differently?
Yes, there are a lot we can do
out
different.
Of school?
There are lots we can do different. But you have to understand that in Nigeria we have difficulty. And that is what is also making our planning very, very difficult. Data is a difficult issue, you know, definitely. You can quote multiple sources. Each one will come its own data. But what we have right now is a data that is in the possession of the Federal Ministry of Education, which is an evaluation done by Universal Basic Education Commission, which they have unveiled in Uyo. I was there when it was unveiled, even though we are yet to produce it in a form of hard copy, because there are various interventions that have come in over the years. You see, it's just like you are putting water into a basket. Why I say so? You are working hard in terms of having interventions, but other aspects also, there are other issues that are challenging. What are we working hard? We have a lot of initiative. We know that definitely we have better service delivery for education for all, service delivery for education for all. That's BESDA. You understand? And that BESDA component that have worked in some state has done so much in getting back a lot of this. In fact, if you look at their value, they have succeeded in returning back to school over 5 million out of school children in BESDA, which is also rounding up now.
Honorable Minister, you know we don't have time, so I would like you to talk about what you would do differently
what we are going
to address the out of school.
What we are going to do different is what we are doing right now to try to reposition the ministry so that we can put our acts together. You understand? We have duplication and multiplication of services. Now, what do I say so? We have different parastatal of the ministry working towards one goal, that's out of school children. Now, unlike everybody doing his own, what we are now trying to do differently is to see how we are going to align them so that we can have additive value of their functions. For example, the National Commission for Mass Literacy, Added and Non-Formal Education is also addressing the issue of out-of-school children. The Nomadic Education Commission is also doing that. Of recent, which is about to start its function now, the National Commission for Almajiri and Out-of-School Children also have the same mandate. If you come to the Ministry of Education itself, we also have the Department of Basic Education. And also you have the Universal Basic Education. Now, instead of them trying to work at par with each other, we're now trying to see how we can bring them together and align their mandate so that we can pursue it together. You see, if you have 4 people studying a common mandate, if you didn't work hard, it will not be done, and everybody will be expecting the other will do, and it will not be done. So what we now want is to see how we can add this thing, and also to see how we can increase funding, as I mentioned to you earlier. And not only that, not only returning them to the school.
No, just when
try differently also.
I listen to you talk about funding a lot.
Yeah.
And I'd like to hear from you what that funding will go for. For example, with regard to funding, do you think that funding should go to creation of more schools or perhaps increasing the number of classrooms in all the schools? You
see, right now, for me, what we lack in Nigeria is issue of maintaining culture. Definitely we have infrastructural decay. Now, where we have such infrastructure at decay, and they are really something you can rehabilitate. So we go for rehabilitations, where it becomes extremely necessary in terms of the availability or access, in terms of communities that are far away from the school. Now you have to go for construction, you understand? So it's not going to be a uniform application, but rather a prioritized distance. And that's what the government is telling us about. And that's what the president is preaching. Prioritize your actions to ensure that wherever you are going to put in resources will add value to the system. Not that you have a school here, and then tomorrow you come and the same community you put another school there, and somebody has to drive 5 to 7 kilometers to come to this place.
But the issue of overcrowding in schools is also a concern. I think even UBEC had said
I
But
quite agree.
20,000 more schools need to be built, and at least 907,000 classrooms.
I quite agree with that. You see, those 20,000 are not of saying that you have to just go and put them in one community. You understand? So you have to, that's why I said where there is need. In terms, there are so many determining factors: population size, distance from the school, you understand, insecurity, and what have you. Those are the determining factors that we're also going to look at it, using certain parameters that are really, you can justify your action, so that you allowed it. What is the aim? Is to make education accessible, affordable, and qualitative. Once you have these three goals in mind, you have to address the accessibility by bringing school closer to the people. You understand? So that's the issue. So I cannot just say that the whole money will be going for construction. No. It's not only that. I will have mentioned the human capital, resource for education. The teachers need to be trained and retrained. We have now paucity even of teachers. So how do we now also great at higher level to see that we can, okay, we are saying that we want to change the paradigm of the education toward certificate back with skill. So if we want to look at the technology, how many teachers do we have? So we also have to invest in area of producing capable teachers that have the capacity to teach what they are, because you cannot teach what you don't have.
Have you assessed the school feeding program of the past administration to know how impactful or otherwise it was? And is that something you'd be adopting?
Well, we are going to, it's not that we are abusing. Right now we are evaluating the system. We are evaluating the system to find where are the problems and how do we improve on the problems. As part of our program, just last 2 weeks ago, Friday ago, we met with all the principals of federal unity schools in Abuja here. And we have looked at it most especially on the funding and the issue of the security. You understand? So you understand, you see, once you have a system, what you need to do is evaluation. And we have already started the evaluation, and we are about taking decision on how to improve it and make it better. You understand? You cannot subject in isolation that you cannot have isolated abuses here and there. But the system is that you should have a check and balances that will be able to make some corrections and go about it.
You know, the expectation from a lot of Nigerians is that it's going to be less talk and more action.
Yes.
So when we talk about the policies of the past administration, from an administration of 8 years that really had nothing to show based on the statement of the minister, a lot of Nigerians want to know from you the policies of the past minister with regards to education, specifically, let's say, basic education. Have you reviewed those policies to understand whether or not you want to continue them? And then what are your new policies that you would be introducing specifically to address out-of-school children?
I may not agree with you whether the minister made a statement, as you put it, that nothing to show. I cannot really say that. But let me tell you one thing. When we came, the first thing we did, and this is what is the right thing to do, is to have a ministerial briefing so that we can hear from virtually all the head of departments and the head of parastatals, which we have done. And which we have done, and we have seen a lot of gap. We have seen a lot of issue. And we say, okay, overnight we cannot think. The way we have to do, we have to have a committee of experts that will now come up together, put all those challenges, and then review also the successes that have been recorded. And you can't say totally there is no success anywhere. What are the challenges? What are the bottlenecks? Now, how do we now address those bottlenecks? And how do we now capitalize and improve on the successes recorded? So the best thing we say is to us to come up with a committee, and we have an education roadmap committee, and they have been working hard for the past 5 to 6 weeks. And incidentally, let me also use the opportunity to tell the general public that on Thursday, we are going to unveil, we are going to have a stakeholders meeting so that the draft document will be presented to the general public. And what is the extent? We are not going to say we know it all, or the committee also knows it all. No. It's not like that. This is a document that we want it to be owned by Nigerians.
Is that for
and
the
we have
basic
invited
education?
Many stakeholders to come and make their own input.
Is that for basic education?
Yeah, no, generally education.
Okay.
Generally education, so that they can now come and make an input, so that average Nigerian will know that his view through anybody that represents is also captured, so that we have a document, and that document will also work hard to ensure that it has also worked within the 8-point agenda of Mr. President.
Absolutely.
So
Here's something else. Let's go to tertiary education now. And it's with regard to the protest by students regarding hiking fees. I know that you had said that they shouldn't disrupt the academic calendar, and it almost suggests that you would blame them if the academic calendar is disrupted. So how do you balance the hiking fees, their protest, and your statement, especially because I recall that the House of Representatives had said that there should be a suspension in the hiking fees.
You understand, we have never blamed students. Neither myself nor the minister have blamed any student. And we have not encouraged it. What we did was to find a diplomatic relationship of execution of whatever is going to be done, so that everybody will be carried along. And I think with that intervention, we have seen a lot of sanity and academic activities are going on. And what is that approach? The approach is not to blame the student or blame this thing. But what we agree is to call the school authorities. Yes, you have your mandate, you understand. But let it be clear, as of today, nobody is paying tuition fee in the federal institutions. Other fee that you are paying ranges from the examination, hostel, ID card, and many other here and there payment that university are distant. And what we have advised, we say, okay, while you are saying that its running cost of the university is becoming so high, that can also not be the justification that you have to push it all on the student. But get the authority of the students who are legally voted as representative of the student. And then the representative of the parents sit down, table the issue, and then reach an amicable resolution. What can be affordable by the student and also can easily assist the university to carry out its mandate in addition to what the federal government is also doing. You understand? And that is the result. It happens in Jos. I've had many calls with both the student union and the vice chancellor. I also had that in Lagos with so many distance. And even the minister reached out to them one after the other. And the result was that there was an amicable resolution following effective consultations. What is initially lacking was lack of consultations, and that master take it all. And we say, no, everybody has his reason to be listened to, listen to them, see how you can adjust, and then amicably resolve the situation. And definitely that is done. And we are not saying that what is done is most perfect, no.
So is it status quo until that consultation is concluded?
No, already most of the schools, they have reached the consultations, and they have agreed, and they have paid, and their academic activity has commenced. You understand? We have not fixed a money that the university collect this, no. But you see, even in labor, what are we doing? I'm an activist, which you know. I've been in the labor union, so many as even national secretary of Nigerian Medical Association. So what is needed is for everybody to have his value. And when you value me, you sit down with me. And when you sit down with me, you listen to me. You also give me my reason, and then we resolve issue through amicable consultation. And once that is done, everybody is happy, everybody will pay, and that's what really happened.
Very well, Dad, I'd like to thank you very much. I know you're a busy man. Thank you for squeezing out as much time as you could to be here today.
Thank you for inviting me. And it's also a good night. It's time to be here with you. I hope we all work together.
Absolutely.
But let me just assure Nigerians that what we have is just like you announced today saying that you are going to renovate your house. If you are renovating your house, even if you are the president of this country, even if you are the president of United States, you inconvenience yourself in one way or the other.
Absolutely.
I'm a surgeon. Pains relieve pains. But we only try to reduce pain while removing the other pain through giving anesthesia so that people can get a distance. But once you say you want to get it better, you want wronged right, some people must be somehow painfully
a sacrifice you made. So
yes, but we must have sacrifice, and
okay.
we must also be able to know that right and wrong is something that must be done, and we have to do it, and that is what
the average Nigerian's response to that would be the sacrifice should start from up there, the political class, and not from...
Everybody will sacrifice.
Anyway, I wish I had more time to talk to you, but our time's up. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Honorable Minister of State for Education, Mr. Tanko Yusuf Sununu. Thank you very much for your time. So we'll take a quick break now. When we return, we'll switch the conversation to the Israel-Hamas war. And we'll be joined by the Palestinian ambassador to Nigeria. Please stay with us.